Welcome to the football miracle you've never heard of. Verona's 84-85 Scudetto triumph was as out of the blue as it gets. All bets were on Juventus, who'd won 3 of the last 4 league titles. But these underachievers wrote the ultimate Rocky story, with a manager who wouldn't even greet his players at the training ground and a chain-smoking centre forward. It's all captured in Richard Hough's fantastic book, Verona Campione. And if you thought Leicester City was shocking, well, you haven't heard this yet. In this video, I'll tell you the main themes in the book and give you my honest thoughts on it. So Verona only actually arrived in Serie A 2 seasons prior to this, and Hough states they simply weren't a team who won Serie A titles. Their objective was to avoid relegation, and truly a championship run was completely off the table. Keep in mind that Napoli had Diego Maradona, Inter Milan had Liam Brady, and Juventus was spearheaded by the Ballon d'Or winner Michel Platini and the World Cup winner Paolo Rossi. So Verona weren't even in the same galaxy as a title challenge, but really they were building something slowly but surely. Verona sporting director Emiliano Massetti aimed high, almost signing Ozzy Ardiles. Indeed, the Northerners then signed Giuseppe Galdarisi and Pietro Fanna from Juventus, where both had won multiple Scudettos. Verona's emergence was further cemented when they finished as runners-up in the 1984 Coppa Italia. And after starting the 84-85 season with wins against Ascoli and Napoli, this was the first time in 14 total Serie A seasons that they'd won their first 2 matches. In November, they won a Serie A match in Turin for the first time in their history, upsetting Torino to stretch 3 points clear at the top of the table. This was back when you earned 2 points for a win. It was around this time that defensive shield Fabio Marangon became the first Verona player to actually utter any semblance of an idea that Verona could potentially upset the odds and win the Scudetto. Then by December they led Inter by 2 points and were so hard to beat, earning 5 0-0 draws along the way. That said, Osvaldo Bagnoli, the manager, favoured a 4-2-1-3 formation. He wasn't afraid to allow his players to have fun, and that was something which really benefited the Danish striker Preben Elkjaer. This was a player who wasn't afraid to let referees know what he thought of them. More on him later though. Bagnoli admitted that he finally spoke to his daughters about the potential of winning Serie A in March. Coming into the spring, the Giallo-Blu led the league by 5 points with 7 games to play. That was thanks to a 5-3 success over Zico's Udinese and vital draws with Inter and Juventus. And by the time Verona arrived at Atalanta in April, needing only a point to win the title, Bagnoli claimed, "We have no reason to waver. A spanner in the works is just a journalistic invention." Elkjaer's goal won them the title and the miracle was sealed. Thousands of people danced in the fountain at the Piazza Bra. Yellow and blue fireworks lit the skies of Verona, from Via Mazzini to Piazza della Erbe. Verona made the leap in quality due to Elkjaer, at least that's what the Juventus manager Giovanni Trapattoni said. And they deserved to win the league according to the Torino boss Luigi Radice. So what of the manager? Bagnoli was quite understated in his personality and his career. He actually built his record in Serie B and C before arriving at Verona in 1981. Put it this way, his earliest roles were at Solbiatese, Rimini and Fano. No disrespect, but I haven't actually heard of any of those clubs. Let me know if you have. Still, he won promotion with Verona to Serie A in 81-82, guiding the small provincial club to 4th in Serie A the very next season. So was he successful? Yes. But another way he was similar to the likes of Ferguson and Guardiola was that he was just ridiculously grumpy. Bagnoli would frequently just blank his players when they said good morning to him at the training ground, and he had absolutely no time for small talk or platitudes. Although Fanna was upset when Bagnoli ignored him, he said the manager made him feel like a man. Indeed, Hough writes how Bagnoli would also create a siege mentality within the squad. He was revered for just letting his players express themselves and have fun. The players felt, as Hough puts it, like birds let out of a cage. Bagnoli was also a masterful man manager, as evidenced by how he managed to cavalier Preben Elkjaer. Elkjaer was a chain-smoking goalscorer who would puff on multiple packs a day. But let's face it, the gaffer just let the players make their own decisions. As Verona conquered all before them, Bagnoli's laissez-faire attitude towards Elkjaer helped him score 13 goals in 32 appearances in all competitions. It was just as well that Bagnoli let Elkjaer do what he wants, because this is a player who did not give a... He once made a cheque signing gesture at a referee. He was cocky and self-assured and would regularly go clubbing before matches. No seals were harmed. And although Elkjaer didn't speak a word of Italian, he and Bagnoli would understand each other purely through a look or a glance or just a moment of eye contact. The Dane became a club cult hero for scoring with a bootless foot against Juventus. He later said that he would refuse to play for any other club in Italy, despite a long list of suitors wanting his signature. And I just think, imagine if he had played for Denmark in that miraculous Euro 92 winning side. He would have added even more spark to a team which really captivated a sport. Sadly, he played his last game for his country in '88, just 4 years before that. In retrospect, Verona's coup was very much sense of lightning in a bottle. The team plummeted to 10th the next season, conceding twice as many goals as the previous title-winning charge. Matters off the pitch also deteriorated. The Brigate Gialloblu, the Ultras group, actually looted stores and stole rival fans' banners. They spouted racist ideologies and protested at Verona's attempts to sign the Black Dutchman Michael Ferrier. And then in 91-92, even though they were managed by the great Nils Liedholm, they were actually relegated from Serie A for the second time in 4 seasons. They were declared bankrupt shortly after and spent the 90s just bouncing around Serie A and Serie B. So this was just such a fun book to read, and although it does occasionally veer into a series of just match reports, Hough does break it up by discussing some of the players' personal lives. There's a poignant moment when we discover that Elkjaer was actually grieving for his grandfather. We also learn that Fana very much felt discarded by Juventus, and how, despite his own grief at losing his father, Bagnoli just absolutely revitalised him. The humble Italian made Fana feel valued and gave him a chance to flex his skills and show what he could do. There's also a wild quote from Galdarisi discussing a match against Ascoli. He states, "If we don't win, we have to shoot ourselves." I very much hope he was joking there. Hough also weaves in Italy's World Cup win from 1982, and as well as the emergence of foreign players in the league such as Mark Hateley and Socrates. However, he does state that Serie A was never the same after the 80s. I mean, does he not remember the likes of Batistuta, Zidane and Ronaldo for the 1990s? As a kid growing up in England, there was probably more Italian football than English football on free English TV. So for me, you know, Italian football just defined that era and my childhood too. And when he was remembering Verona's triumph, then Roma manager Sven-Göran Eriksson said they deserved to win and played the best football. Juventus fans, however, made a banner saying, "Can we have our Scudetto back?" Well, Juventus could just never catch a break or any luck though, could they? So there you have it. Thanks so much for watching and see you soon.